Hey there, everyone. Thanks for tuning in today. You're listening to No Bed of Roses. Okay, so today I have a very special person sitting across from me with an insanely silly smile on her face. My amazing, beautiful, talented, okay, we can end the show right here. No? Daughter, Kaylie Sienna Haber, the other half of the set of twins of Dylan Casey Haber. So Kaylie, welcome to No Bed of Roses.
I don't know why I'm laughing. Thank you.
That happens. That happens to people, or I think it will happen. Okay, good. We have a rainy, kind of overcast Sunday happening while the fires are burning, and it's been a pretty challenging time. The smoke was really bad here in Colorado yesterday. Sort of a slow Sunday, but does it seem to you like one day is bleeding into the next? What do you think? Does it just seem like same thing again and again and again?
I think it helps that I have Dylan because we do a lot of fun stuff together and it's nice to have him around.
Yeah. Okay, so now that's been recorded, so he can use that at any time, right? He's going to be, hey, remember you said this? It's good to have me around. And you're just going to say, burn those tapes, right? I don't want any evidence. So you're both artists. You're both very talented in a number of different ways. You can stack things on your head. That's an amazing talent. No,
I can't do that.
You can't stack things on your head?
No.
What's the software that you're using to draw?
I'm using Procreate on my iPad.
Right. And so your work, Kaylie, and we're doing this podcast, so people can't really see this unless they go to your Instagram account, which is called
Fred and
Fluffina, where both your work and Dylan's work is posted, right?
Yeah.
You have done such beautiful pieces all on paper up until recently.
I like both of them, but I think even though Procreate's great because there are so many different tools that are just in that Apple Pencil, like you could be using a paintbrush and you're using the Apple Pencil, but it shows up as paintbrush on the paper and Procreate. It's just so cool to have so many different tools in that one pen. I also really like having just paper because using watercolor paper and wood and different things to paint on or draw on is really nice, and those are also like physical things you can hold, because with Procreate it's digital and you can print it out on printer paper, but you can't see the process in the artwork how you would with an actual physical painting.
So you can't see the process. So and I've watched you draw, and you'll bring things as you're progressing through that piece. What do you think? Is there's something really satisfying for you when you're drawing on paper, let's say, and just seeing how the paint or the ink or the pencil is absorbed by the paper? Or
it's not really satisfying. It's just I like being able to have artwork where you can see mistakes and know that the artist messed up, but they still made something out of it. And I like how you can see textures and different shades, and you can see different shades on digital, but you can actually see the textures and you can feel it and it's actually there. But with the digital, you can't feel it. It's just a screen. So
what did Bob Ross teach us? There are no mistakes?
Just happy accidents. Yeah.
Do you believe that?
Yeah. I used that as my 5th grade quote when I graduated.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's cool. I think we have Bob right here. I don't know if everybody's going to be able to hear this. Let's see. This was a gift from you guys. Let's see. This is a Bob Ross bobblehead. Let's see if we can hear him.
Anything that you try and you don't succeed, if you learn from it, it's not a failure.
Well, and we didn't cue that up. That was just Bob.
Yeah.
Huh? That was pretty cool. That's the magic of Bob. Okay, so I've made this podcast with Anchor. I'm just starting to use it. If you haven't heard about Anchor, apparently it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let's see, it's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit the podcast right from your phone, which is actually pretty cool. And Anchor will then distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and other places. And apparently you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. That's interesting. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. How about that? And then, of course, you need to download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Big fans of Bob Ross here, and we're not paid to say that, are we?
No.
You weren't paid, were you?
No.
Is anyone getting paid here?
We have a lot of Bob Ross.
A lot of Bob Ross.
We have mints, a bobblehead. You have socks.
Dylan ate all my
skateboard.
mints. My tin of mints of Bob Ross, gone. Vacuumed, hoovered, gone. You just.
I had one of them.
Yeah. I said, you're eating all my mints. There were 3 left. He jammed them in my mouth. He's not invited back, by the way. He's not coming back. Okay, so it's not an either or, though, when you compare using Procreate on the iPad. And we got now I can't remember.
The Paper-like?
Paper-like.
Yeah.
So the Paper-like went on. It was not the easiest application.
I forgot to pull the plastic screen off.
Oh, you didn't share that with me. I see.
I put it on, and when I had the bubbles in it, I was trying to get the bubbles out, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is so hard, and it's getting this all scratched up.
Yeah.
And then right as I got like the last bubble out, the screen peeled off, and I thought, wait, that's the plastic screen.
Oh, no.
And I thought that's why I didn't feel like drawing on paper. I was drawing on a plastic protective screen.
So, okay, but there's still, so you've peeled that off since, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's off, but there's still
some bubbles.
Still some bubbles.
It's really hard to get the bubbles out.
And I think I saw that on one of the tutorials before we got it. When we first put it on, you weren't super thrilled with it. I had watched a bunch of YouTube videos on it, reviews, where artists were saying that it really did give a great feel. I think there were some that just said, not so much. It's a good protector.
It's okay. I like it because it kind of gives more of a grip, Like it,
a little more bite with the pencil.
Because if you're just drawing on the screen, it's really smooth and it's glass, so you don't really have any grip to the screen. So with the paper-like screen, it's really good because then I get more of a grip. But I don't think it doesn't really feel like paper to me, but it's still good for getting that.
Does it feel like it's limitless what you can do with that, as opposed to the feeling you have when you're working on a piece of paper? I was reading we watched the video this morning. I was reading the obituary on Ben Gatt, right? The guy who did the really cool fonts in the New York Times today. And he was saying I think the most beautiful thing is a blank piece of paper.
With Procreate, for me, you can use Procreate on all different types of technology, but I'm using it on my iPad.
Right.
So you just have the size of the screen of your iPad to draw on. It's not like with paper where you get so many different wide varieties of sizes or canvases. You can get the biggest canvases and you just have so much room to work on Procreate. You can zoom in and out of it, but it's just on that iPad screen.
Sure.
It's not like this gigantic piece that you can move all over it, and
So does that feel claustrophobic or confining at sometimes, or?
It's a little bit harder for me to visualize what I really want to put there because it's just that one size, and I'm not exactly sure how to explain it. It's not like standing in front of a big canvas and just looking at it and you're like, yeah, I know what I'm going to do with this. But with Procreate, you just have that one small screen and you're drawing on that, and it just feels a little bit constricted to the size you could do. When you stand in front of something big, you're like, oh, I could do something big with this. Or you can make it look really tiny, but have so much on it. But with the iPad screen, I kind of feel like I have to make it fit inside the screen.
So a bit confining. So let me ask you something about the process, Kaylie. So you said, when you look at a piece of paper, I know what I'm going to do with that. So some artists feel that the blank canvas is just full of opportunity. Some artists and writers feel like the blank page is just, oh my God, it is just so overwhelming that you don't know where to start. You don't know what to do. Do you look at something and know, or does it evolve? Is there just something? Do you wake up and go, I got to get this out of my head. I got to do this, or what's? And is it always different?
In some cases, you can have an idea and you're like, right away exactly what you're going to do, and you go sit down and you do it, and then you're done and you're like, wow, that's exactly what I was going to do.
Right.
But then in some cases, you can sit down and you're like, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with this. So you just kind of just start doing random things, and then you start getting more ideas, and what you originally started with evolves into something bigger and bigger until you're like, wow, this turned into something.
So again, there are no mistakes, just happy accidents. And so you may start at A and you may wind up back at A, or you may progress to Z. And I'm just thinking as I'm talking to you, I want to share that you have dyslexia and dyscalculia. And so I'm thinking about A and Z and the timeline, and you don't necessarily think in a linear format with your dyslexia, right?
I don't plan out anything. I just do it.
It just happens.
Yeah.
Right? So
I think that's the best way to be creative. You don't do anything. You just
let it go.
Yeah, it just happens.
Now, there is a theme with a lot of your work. As a white girl, you have drawn, painted, sketched women of color since you're a baby, really, since you're super young, right? So I think. Have you ever thought about what that inspiration is or what that drive is? Is there anything to it? Or is it, again, just you're being a channel, this is what's flowing through you, this is what's happening? Do you have any idea?
I really just like drawing. I really like being inclusive and doing women with different cultures and ethnicities and backgrounds. And I really like all of that.
That's a deliberate thing. That's a choice that you make. You say, "Hey, I'm gonna draw this woman. She's gonna have this really cool afro. She's gonna have these kinds of features. She's gonna have this skin tone." That's a deliberate thing, or is it in your process? You just start, and this is where it flows and goes.
Yeah, I just start it, and then whatever happens, and then that's what it becomes.
Yeah.
But I really like being inclusive with my work, and I like adding all different types of uniqueness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking as you're talking, it's interesting because you've done a lot of those women. Some of those pieces have moved me to tears. They're so beautiful. The piece that you were honored with by having it hung in the superintendent's office, right, in her lobby, was a landscape.
I began with doing just portraits and just drawing girls. But then I thought it would be cool to try some landscapes, and I really like doing landscapes. I'm still working on it, but I followed some of Bob Ross's tutorials, and I love all of the mountain ones I've done. I think they look so pretty.
Very cool. Very cool.
I really have gotten into abstract stuff. I really like, that's like what got hung in the superintendent's office was more of an abstract piece of landscape.
So what does abstract mean to you, or what does it mean to us?
Abstract is just outside of the box and just bright colors and different shapes, and I feel like it's kind of just the imagination flowing in whatever you put down onto the paper.
You may set out to paint something, and I may see that something, or I may see something else in that image.
Yeah, when I do my works, I really like letting the viewer come up with what they think the work means or what they think it looks like.
Going back to what we were talking about, digital and paper, as an artist, do you have a preference? If I'm somebody who's going to experience your art, do you have a preference on how I experience that? Would you prefer it be digital? Would you prefer it be on paper?
Probably paper, or something like that that's actually physical, because I feel like then you can really, you see like the mess ups that the artist maybe made, or just the textures. And I think that from that you can really understand more of what the artist was doing or through that process. I don't know if any of that just made sense with whatever I said.
Yeah. It all makes sense. It all makes sense. And I'm thinking again that the way most of us are going to experience stuff is digitally, where we don't get a chance to really stand in front of it. We don't really get a chance to observe a brush stroke or a pen or pencil stroke or something like that.
I think I really prefer, if you were going to an art museum to experience art, I would rather have it be physical, because with one brush stroke, there's a lot of emotion or feeling in that stroke. It's just the way the artist has painted or drawn something, you can really understand it.
Yeah. And do you have a preference on, is it paint? Is it pen? Is it pencil? Is there a preference?
I don't really care. I like using everything.
Just you'll just do it. I know because
I think it's fun to use everything.
That's cool. So speaking of using everything, and again, Mr. Benkat, the guy who just passed, who's responsible for tuning up the New York Times logo and is an amazing typographer, and we see his fonts all the time, and they're extraordinary. Was a musician first. That's how he started. And I think in the video that we were watching, he said, there are some people who just seem to be tone deaf. They just can't hear the music. And he said, I wonder if people, what did he say? They're eye deaf, they're sight deaf. In the sense that they just can't see it. Mm-hmm. They don't see the beauty of a figure, or they don't see that. So you're a musician also. You were singing to my playing since you were very, very little and would come up with these insane melodies just naturally. Do you feel any kind of connection between your musicality and your love for music and your drawing, your painting? Or do you ever think about, you're singing constantly. So I don't know if that informs you as you're working, if there's just music, if you feel that is flowing through you, or is there anything to that? Or am I barking up the wrong tree? What am I doing?
I really like to sing. And I think some of my music might kind of bleed into my art, because I'm inspired. Like, I like listening to music to maybe get some inspiration of what I might draw, or reading a book. I love reading, and I've drawn a lot of pieces just from visualizing what I think is happening in the book. And
I got to stop here, because as a dyslexic, did you ever think you would say, I love reading?
Yeah.
You did? Always?
I've always loved reading. At first it was a really big struggle, and it was I couldn't read chapter books. I was in the 3rd or 4th grade, and I couldn't read a chapter book, and it was really hard for me because all the other kids were reading chapter books, and I was still on a lower reading level. But then I was working really hard on it, and then I just got really good at reading, and now I'm above grade level for reading.
So, and let's talk about that for a second, because if we're lucky enough to have other people, other kids, other adults, anyone who stumbles into this podcast who has what we say is the superpower of dyslexia or dyscalculia, dysgraphia, whatever, what could you or what would you share about that challenge? And it was definitely a challenge. It remains a challenge, right? But it was definitely a challenge when you were little. You worked your butt off from when you were in kindergarten, going to Linda Mood Bell. There's a shout out to Linda Mood Bell, an extraordinary program. And you love reading, which is, I would say it's a miracle, but it's not a miracle because we all saw how hard you worked. You worked so hard to get to this place where you have joy through reading. But what could you share, Kales, if anything, with other people dealing with those challenges or those gifts, who are artists, are not artists? And would you share anything about that journey that you were on and are on?
Well, it was really, really hard for me, and I did work really hard, and it paid off, especially with reading, but I still really struggle with math, and I think I probably will for the rest of my life.
Right.
If I could do math like I can memorize a song, I would probably be a genius.
That's right.
But
I think you are a genius.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But I think it's just really important to work hard and just remember that I don't really know.
Well, would you say, is there anything about, hey, don't get discouraged? Or, you're saying work hard.
Well,
but
I don't want it to sound cheesy.
Right.
Work hard is just well, yeah, I'm working hard. Nothing's happening.
Right.
But
I almost feel, from my point of view, having been on that journey with you, is it to not give up hope? Hope, everyone, there's that saying, hope isn't a great strategy. And it definitely was about the commitment and the hard work for you.
Yeah.
The challenge of dyslexia gives you a very different perspective, right? You and mommy both have it, and you're both amazingly talented artists. Would you say there's a way to celebrate that gift?
Well, I like to think of it as a superpower because, like you said, I see stuff much differently than other people would, and everyone sees stuff differently, so everyone has a superpower. But especially with my dyslexia and dyscalculia, I consider it a superpower, because without it I might not be as talented as I am.
Yeah. You'd be like Uncle Nidnots.
Yeah.
You'd just be
so boring.
So boring.
Just beige.
So beige. Imagination Movers, there's a shout out. That's we went retro the other day, right? Because that's a show on Disney.
I've watched the whole first episode.
You did again?
I'm moving. The whole first season.
The whole first season.
I'm gonna watch the second one
This
tonight,
is
probably.
It's probably a sign of our mental degradation that we're slowly degrading here, and that we went to comfort.
It teaches you basic life skills, so that's good.
We're big fans of Warehouse Mouse. We just and the movers. Well, thank you for sharing all of that about your artistry and your superpowers and your frustrations at the top of the conversation here with what we're all dealing with and we all feel so frustrated with. Do you think that your artistry, because it's broad, it's music, it's painting, it's writing, we didn't even talk about that, but your story writing. Do you think that your art is negatively or positively impacted by the challenges of the many, many challenges that we're going through, that you're going through right now? Or does the time here at home become just crushing and stifle the artistry? Or does it inspire it? Do you find some relief and release through it? Anything to any of that?
I think that it positively impacts my artistry because the best and most meaningful art can come, or does usually come, from pain or suffering. I mean, I'm not in pain or suffering, but it does suck staying at home and COVID and all of that, and it really is. It does make you feel really down at times, and I think it just inspires me even more. And writing and reading and drawing and painting and singing and all of that is just a good way to escape and maybe imagine a better time or just make light of the time that we're in. And it's just a good way to express yourself.
Like a fine wine, like great grapes coming from struggle. That's your story, and you're sticking to until your next meltdown. You're, I can't take this anymore. Just that goes.
You sounded like Stitch.
Was that,
a little bit.
Well, I didn't do
that. Didn't sound
that
like
wasn't
Stitch.
Okay.
I think it's really important to struggle, even though that might sound kind of dark. Like, yes, you must struggle.
You'll find a lot of artists that agree with you.
I think that it's very important to struggle and go through difficult times, but through that, you become a better person and you learn new things that you might not have known if you hadn't gone through that struggle, and you'll maybe learn new things. I think I already said that.
But I'm listening to you, and I'm once again, I'm thinking, I've got recorded evidence now to bring back to you at a later date when you're freaking out. And say, hey, listen to how philosophical you are about struggle, as you just smash whatever it is that's in front of you. And you're not you're not violent like that. I'm painting a horrible picture of you.
I'm not violent.
It's completely uncool.
No, but I'm saying this, like, it's good to struggle and stuff like that, but I'm not saying this to be like, yeah, you have to be chill all the time. You have to be, super wise about everything and whatever. And it's okay to have freakouts sometimes, and it's okay to have mental breakdowns. It's just a part of you going through something and you getting it out, whether you're getting it out through your art or, I don't know, it's just good to express yourself.
Right.
Because if you keep it all in, that's definitely not healthy.
Kaboom.
Kaboom. Kaboom.
Kaboom. Wisdom beyond her 13 years, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it, from an extraordinary young woman, my daughter, Kaylie Sienna Haber, the other half to an incredible set of twins. And her and her brother Dylan, I'll say, are like Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger in Twins. They look, of course, nothing alike. Kaylie is significantly taller right now.
Or Dipper and Mabel from Gravity Falls.
Dipper and Mabel, right. They're your favorite twins right now, right? That's right.
We love Gravity Falls.
Shout out to Gravity Falls. What'd you guys do last night after your brawl? Awkward twin hug? What was it?
Awkward sibling hug? Pat.
There it is. So for all you awkward siblings out there, you totally get that. Well, thank you, baby, for sharing this today. This is all new, what we're doing. Only our, I think, second episode. What do I mean? I know. I know it's only our second episode, but it was really cool to just sit and do this off the cuff with you and And thanks for sharing. And I love you. And just keep letting that creativity flow. It is truly an amazing gift.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Well, we'll see you back here again soon, right?
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Kaylie.
You're welcome. Okay.
Okay. And we're out. Well, that brings our second episode of No Bed of Roses to a conclusion. We're glad that you joined us, and we hope that you'll come back and join us again. Look for No Bed of Roses wherever fine podcasts are available. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.